Hello, this is Eric, and today I'll be talking about my project on diseases caused by viruses and bacteria, and my topic is going to be rabies. Just an introduction. Rabies is a viral disease that has plagued humanity and animals for centuries, causing widespread suffering, economic burdens, and unnecessary loss of life. Despite being entirely preventable, rabies continue to pose significant public health challenges, particularly in regions with limited resources and infrastructure for its control and eradication. With an estimated 59,000 human deaths annually, predominantly in Asia and Africa, rabies stands as one of the most deadly zoonotic diseases, transmitted primarily through the bite of an infected animal, most commonly in dogs. This is my table of contents and what I will be sharing with you guys today. 1. About the disease. 2. How it obtains energy. 3. Treatment. 4. Reproduction. 5. Diagnosis. And 6. Historical events. 1. About the disease. Rabies is caused by a virus from the lyssavirus genus and family Rhabdoviridae. The rabies virus belongs to the species Rabies lyssavirus. This virus is mostly affecting mammals, including humans, and is typically spread through infected animal saliva, and most commonly bites. Rabies virus is neurotropic virus, which means it has a great affinity for the nervous system. If symptoms occur, it can cause severe brain damage and death if not treated. The rabies virus is a bullet-shaped virus with a unique morphology and organization. The structure consists of these several components. The envelope. The rabies virus, like many other viruses, is enveloped, which means it is wrapped by a lipid membrane from the host cell. Genome. The rabies virus has a single-stranded negative sense RNA genome. This genome contains the genetic information necessary for viral replication and expression of viral proteins. Proteins. The rabies virus genome encodes several proteins essential for its replication and assembly. And lastly, ribonucleoprotein complex. Ribonucleoprotein complexes are formed when the viral genome binds firmly to nucleoproteins. These complexes safeguard the viral RNA genome and act as templates for replication and transcription. Rabies has a simple yet highly organized structure, optimized for efficient replication, transmission, and evasion of host immune responses. Understanding the morphology and organization of the rabies virus is essential for developing effective strategies and diagnosis treatments and prevention of rabies infection. 2. How do rabies obtain energy? So, the rabies virus, like all viruses, does not obtain energy in the same manner that living creatures do. Viruses are classified as obligatory intracellular parasites, which means they rely solely on host cells to carry out metabolic functions and generate energy for replication. After infecting a host cell, the rabies virus uses the cellular machinery to duplicate its genetic material, synthesize viral proteins, and assemble new virus particles. This process takes place solely within the host cell's cytoplasm and is powered by the host cell's energy-generating systems, such as glycolysis and oxidative phosphorylation. Specifically, the rabies virus uses the host cell's metabolic processes and resources to produce adenosine triphosphate, which is the fundamental energy currency of cells. ATP supplies the energy required for a variety of cellular functions, such as viral replication, transcription, translation, and assembly. In conclusion, the rabies virus lacks its own mechanisms for getting energy. Instead, it uses host cells' metabolic resources to fuel viral replication and spread within the host body. Here I have a chart of bacteria versus rabies, the comparison of both. 3. Treatment. Treating rabies infections in humans involves a multi-step approach aimed at preventing the virus from progressing to the central nervous system and causing fatal encephalitis. It's crucial to note that once clinical symptoms of rabies appear, the disease is almost always fatal. Therefore, prompt and appropriate medication intervention is essential. 1. Immediate wound care. If you have been bitten by animals suspected of carrying rabies, thoroughly clean the wound with soap and water for at least 15 minutes. This can assist to lower the risk of infection. 2. Seek medical assistance. After cleansing the wound, seek medical assistance right away. Your healthcare professional will determine the risk of rabies exposure based on several factors, including the specific species of animal, the circumstances of the bite, and whether the animal can be trapped and tested for rabies. Post-exposure prophylaxis. If your healthcare professional believes that you have been exposed to the rabies virus, they will most likely prescribe post-exposure prophylaxis. PEP consists of a series of rabies vaccines, and in some situations, the delivery of rabies immune globulin. Rabies vaccination, PEP, usually entails having a series of rabies vaccines over the course of several weeks. These vaccines stimulate your immune system to develop antibodies against the rabies virus, which helps to keep the virus from spreading into your body. Rabies immune globulin, RIG, in addition to the vaccine, your doctor may deliver rabies immune globulin to the location of the bite. RIG contains antibodies against the rabies virus and gives instant temporary protection while your body develops its own immune response to the vaccination. And lastly, monitoring and follow-up. Throughout PEP, you will need to schedule follow-up meetings with your healthcare practitioner to obtain extra doses of rabies vaccination and confirm that you are responding properly to treatment. 4. Reproduction. So first, rabies would entry into host cells. The rabies virus enters the body through the saliva of an infected animal, usually transmitted through a bite or scratch. Once in the body, the virus begins to spread and infect the host cells. Replication. The virus attaches to specific receptors on the surface of host cells, allowing it to enter. Once inside of the host cells, the virus releases its genetic material, which consists of single-stranded RNA. The viral RNA serves as a template for the synthesis of new viral components. Then the viral RNA is transcribed by the host cell's machinery to produce viral proteins. These proteins are then translated into new viral particles. Then, the newly synthesized viral components, including RNA and proteins, are assembled into complete viral particles within the host cell. Once assembled, the new viral particles exit the host cell, often by budding through the cell membrane. This process does not typically destroy the host cell immediately, allowing the virus to continue replicating and spreading to other cells. In cases of rabies infections, the virus has a particular affinity for nerve cells. It can spread from the site of entry to the peripheral nerve and ultimately to the central nervous system, brain and spinal cord. Transmission to new hosts. As the virus replicates within the infected host, it may be shed in saliva, enabling transmission to new hosts through bites or scratches. 5. Diagnosis. Rabies symptoms vary according to the stage of illness. Rabies develop in multiple phases, and symptoms may not appear right away after being exposed to the virus. The incubation period, or the time between the virus exposure and symptoms manifestation, can be anywhere from a few days to months. Once symptoms show, rabies is nearly invariably lethal. These are the common signs of rabies. Prodromal stage, the early symptoms. You get fever, headaches, malaise, general feeling of discomfort, fatigue, or nausea. Then, in the acute neurological phase, you can see symptoms such as agitation, anxiety, or confusions, hallucinations, delirium, hypersalivation, hydrophobia, which is the fear of water, aerophobia, fear of moving air, insomnia, particle paralysis or muscle spasms, particularly in the throat and diaphragm, and seizures. And sadly, in the last stage, paralytic stage, you might feel weakness or paralysis, usually starting in the muscles near the site of the original bite or scratch, inability to move or swallow, respiratory failure, coma, or even death. If you suspect you've been exposed to rabies, it's essential to seek medical attention immediately, even before symptoms appear. Post-exposure prophylaxis, PEP, which we talked about, is crucial, highly effective in preventing rabies if administered promptly after exposure to the virus. The only preventive measure are staying away from wild animals or animals that you're uncertain are wild or not, as well as to stay away from people that might have rabies symptoms. 6. Historical events. Today, I would like to be talking about one of the most significant historical events involving rabies is Louis Pasteur's creation of the rabies vaccine in the late 19th century. This innovative achievement was a watershed moment in the prevention and treatment of rabies. Louis Pasteur, a French chemist and microbiologist, is widely recognized for his contributions to microbiology and immunology. Rabies was a dreaded and lethal disease in the late 1800s with no effective therapy. Pasteur's interest in rabies stemmed from a mother's request for treatment after her son was bitten by a rabid dog. One of the most renowned tests involves a dog called Jupiter. Jupiter was vaccinated with a weaker version of the rabies virus before exposed to the highly virulent strain. Despite being bitten by a rabid dog, Jupiter remained healthy, confirming the vaccine's effectiveness. Following successful animal testing, Pasteur gave the vaccine to its first human patient, Joseph Meister, a 9-year-old child who has been bitten by a rabid dog. Meister survived the rabies exposure, proving the vaccine's efficacy. Pasteur's development of the rabies vaccine revolutionized the prevention and treatment of rabies worldwide. It laid the foundation for modern vaccines and established the principles of immunization against viral diseases. The rabies vaccine remains a crucial tool in preventing rabies infections, particularly in high-risk populations such as veterinarians, animal handlers, and individuals traveling to regions where rabies is endemic. Louis Pasteur's work on the rabies vaccine stands as one of the most significant achievements in medical history. In the end, I have one important thing to say. It's really important to remember that while rabies is a serious and potentially deadly disease, prompt medical treatment following exposure can effectively prevent rabies from developing. If you believe you've been exposed to rabies, don't hesitate to seek immediate medical attention, because if you do earlier, it can prevent you from dying. Yeah, and that's a wrap. So thank you for listening. If you have any questions, you could email me. But yeah, credits to the template slideshow. Yeah.